Tonight we are going over some this is one that needs to be revisited time and again, and it is worth it because this is so critical to strength training in general. Is you have to remember that there are you want to call it a light day and a heavy day. You can't go heavy all the time, right? You cannot, especially for aging athletes, especially for anybody that's getting older, aka into your 30s, 40s, 50s, or beyond. That's most of us, right? And also anyone that has high stress or a lot of volume outside the gym. Like you don't just live in the gym to train like a CrossFitter. Like you got other shit you got to do. And that can be job related, or if you are like a combat athlete, like MMA, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, stuff like that, then you do SWAT, military, you do other things other than train. So you have to be like really strong, but you also have to train firearms. You also have to train grappling. You also have to train striking. You also have to train driving. You also have to train on and on and on. You get the idea. So you can't just spend all day in the gym. So you can't go heavy all the time, right? And you have to have recovery elements in. And additionally, there's this thing called special. It's called special strengths, right? And when you talk about conjugate training, which is what I've found to be the most optimal for various reasons, which we can get into at another, another date, another time. Um, you got to include the conversation of first these two things, right? First, max effort, right? So you have to be able to lift heavy, right? That's imperative or paramount, right? Both, I guess, for building strength is you have to be able to lift heavy. Now, what heavy means for you as we age, it changes, right? The a max effort back squat day for me does not look the same now as it did, 10 years ago, right? It doesn't. It can't, right? But the stimulus is there. You got to be able to lift heavy things. That's critical to get strong. You can't remove it. That's max effort. The next thing that you really need to look at is dynamic effort. Once you lock in a couple days of heavy, right? Two, ideally, okay? You're looking at 1 day of dynamic effort that is submaximal loading at maximal speed, okay? The first thing that we lose in terms of tissue quality is speed as we age. You lose your ability for speed. So if you train submaximal really, really fast as humanly possible, we want that bar moving or implement, whatever it is, right? We can talk about that too. Does it always have to be a barbell? Not really. It can be it can be numerous different things. It can be anything you want. You just got to move it fast, right? Maximal speed. That is what we're looking for. Velocity, bar speed, that kind of stuff. You got to be able to move it fast. If the bar slows down, you're not training dynamic effort anymore. Okay, that's why like the rough guidelines are like 50 to 70% of your 1 rep max, and I would even say like 40 to 50% of your 1 rep max, and that's straight weight. That's not even including bands and chains. I don't even want to talk about accommodating resistance right now. Okay, this is what it should look like. So this is an old video from the CrossFit Journal, and I just want you to watch it, right? So pretty cool. Laura Phelps is in there. I got to train with her a lot when she was at CrossFit Conjugate. I got to train there, like 10 years ago. Man, that was a long time ago. It was cool. It was super cool, though. It was awesome to lift with this caliber of athletes. So check it out. This is what it's supposed to look like, and I'll talk about it afterwards.
What you're going to see here, these guys are just working their deadlift for speed. It's they're doing a little bit of a ultra wide sumo, and all our deadlifters will keep the head up, just like in the squat. Your torso follows your head. And you should one of the things that you can try. I mean, it's provable instantly. Pull a deadlift looking down at the ground, and then pull a deadlift looking up, just above eye level, and it's amazing the difference in your back arch and everything. And especially at maximum weight, you really need to emphasize pushing your head back, because when the deadlift usually stalls around knee level or just above knee level. by actually pulling your head back, that can work you through those tough spots. So, you know, it's important on every single rep that you'll ever do for a deadlift to keep your back up and your head up, but also especially at the maximum weights, and that's what these guys here. That's what we're all doing is just trying to maximize the weight we lift. So it's it's one of those little things that you know can make or break a lift, and you know, be just such a you know just gladiator type sport. You know, you just walk over and pick up the bar, but it is as much a precision sport as anything else. I mean, form is crucial. So you're talking about weights that you know would injure or crush most, and these guys are handling over and over and over. You know, 600 plus pounds for AJ and Luke. I'm sorry, 500 plus pounds, then up to 600 plus pounds for 10 sets for doubles. It just puts everything in perspective for these guys, what they're doing. You know, you have to acclimate yourself to this environment.
All right. So what we saw there was maximal speed, sub-maximal loading. And even for those guys that you see, Laura, you know, was doing 225. And I think the other guys were like 275 to, you know, just under 300 pounds. So that's about 50% of their one rep max, maybe a little bit lower because they're adding on bands for accommodative resistance. So that means it's heavier at the top than it is at the bottom. Now it is moving. You can see there was no stall on the bar. Like from the minute that they break friction with the ground to the minute that they are locked out, it is like less than a second. 0.8 is what it is. 0.8 meters per second. You're moving that thing about a meter. So you're looking at like the lift is 1 second long, if that, right? It should be less than a second. That's what you're shooting for. And that you want to work perfect technique and as fast as you can go. It really stress how quickly you can move that bar. And you don't want any grind on it. You don't want it to be that difficult. If it is, it's too heavy, right? It's too heavy. And this is not a day to worry about how heavy the bar is. We need to work on mechanics, and you can't work perfect mechanics under a maximal load. It's never going to be that way. If you think movement, there's an acceptable range. It's like a gray area, right? It's like the area is from here to here, and outside these limits is like that's a no-go. Okay, but there's a range of acceptable movement pattern where you're like, yeah, it's good enough to pass. It's not dangerous, right? So like we get some rounding in your back, but odds are slim that it's going to get hurt. You know, now when we get excessive rounding or we get changing shape in the spine during the lift, then it's like that's too heavy for you to fucking move. Stop doing that before you get hurt, right? Now with a dynamic effort day, there should be no deviation. The technique should be perfect. Everything should be perfect, and you should be moving as fast as you can. So if you hit a point where it's like you're breaking down with your form, then go lighter, right? Go lighter. The technique and the volume this is where you accumulate technique and volume, all of that, right? You don't get your volume on your heavy days. Your heavy days are low volume, high intensity, and the dynamic effort days are high volume, low intensity as far as weight goes, high intensity as far as speed goes. So you've got to be able to do both of them. And again, if you are hitting grinding lifts like that deadlift doesn't move the speed that they did. Doesn't have to be the weight, but the speed. The speed is all based on that, and it is percentage of your one rep. So if you don't know what your one rep is, you got to find out. And but it's also if you don't know what it is, like right now, honestly, I don't know what my one rep max deadlift is. I have no idea. I have not tested it in probably, I couldn't even tell you, 3 years at this point. I haven't even tested a one rep max deadlift. I've deadlifted heavy, but I have not tested a one rep max on it. So the way that I navigate dynamic effort is I will do what feels like a 5 out of 10 as far as how heavy it is. Like I'll warm up, I'll just hit singles and doubles, ones and twos, just like they did, mostly eccentric, so up portion, right, of the movement. And once I hit a point where it feels like it starts to slow a touch, I back it down. That means it's like 6, 7 out of 10. And I back the weight down and I go there, right? I just make sure I stay at a 5. It's right in the middle, should be not even challenging. It just should just be like something I can do for 20 reps at a great speed with perfect technique, 4 or 5 intensity, really. And timing. Okay, let's talk about timing. So this is something that you're really going to push through pretty quick. If you think like 1 rep at 50% of your 1 rep max, you hit 1 rep of that every minute on the minute for 7 minutes. It's all the deadlifting you need. And then for back squat, you're doing every minute on the minute or every 30 seconds. You can ramp it up a little bit. Like sometimes I'll go every 30 seconds for 10 rounds. That's 5 minutes. So every 30 seconds, I'm hitting 2 reps. Fast as I can. Boom, boom. Rack it. And I rest for another 10, 15 seconds. You can see on that video, like Laura actually, in a 2-minute video, Laura lifted twice. So she went all the way through the batting order, boom, and then we got back to the top for another set. So they were on like a 2-minute interval. So you had 1 rep, and by 2 minutes, you were hitting another one, if not sooner, right? They were ripping through those with 5 dudes, 6 dudes, that kind of stuff. So you got to, if you're lifting with a lot of people, it actually becomes really fun because you start moving like a pit crew. Like you hit 2 reps, step out, you start unracking the weights, put new weights on. People are telling you like, hey, put 275 on, put 225 on. It becomes pretty fun. And anyway, so yeah, that's the way it should look. That's what it has to look. If it starts looking like a lifting session where it starts grinding and slowing down, you're just doing it wrong. You're not training speed the right way. Okay. Um, if you think about the Westside special strengths, right? The conjugate special strengths, there's 8 of them. Okay. Absolute strength, limit strength, speed strength, strength speed, explosive strength, reactive strength, strength endurance, durability, isometric strength. Okay. Um, those are all different things in the force velocity curve, right? It goes like that. We'll go over all this at another date. This is really really nerdy stuff, but it is kind of important to understand like there are different strengths, and dynamic strength is one of them. Um, and it's kind of like strength, speed, strength, moving lighter loads, as fast as possible. We're looking at speed strength here, which is like specifically right in line with field and court sports. This is right kind of where we want to live with that. um, but Yeah, I mean, if you think about like tactical carryover, like sprinting, changing directions, powerful, like striking and grappling and takedowns, and that all that kind of stuff, and even like draw, punch out, like you talk about stuff like that, like on the range, we're dealing with like maybe repetition method, but a lot of it's dynamic effort where it's like boom, boom, it's like we're doing sub maximal things multiple times over and over and over again. Um, so, like, you know, a lot of it completely translates, and it just translates athletically. It's great to add dynamic effort into anywhere that you can put it. Sometimes sometimes you got to get creative with it. You got to like kind of hide it because people don't really understand how it works. You could do it as a circuit if you really wanted to. You can 3 reps at 60% into you know uh, 5 pull-ups every minute on the minute, and that kind of stuff. That would be acceptable too. You're going to get a little bit more fatigued, so you'd have to monitor the um, form breakdown as you got tired, but it would be okay. That would be an okay way to sneak it in. Sometimes if you make it a standalone strength session like this, like people's egos get involved, and it's like you think every day's got to be just an absolute dogfight to lift a 1 rep max. It's like don't, just don't. And by less is more type deal, you're going to get stronger. Okay. You got to give yourself your central nervous system has to have 72 hours between lifting sessions, generally speaking, to recover Otherwise, you just fry yourself. So if you do max effort one into max effort two, like you do lower body on Monday and then upper body max effort on Tuesday, like chances are slim you're going to do as well as you could on Tuesday. That's why we try to put 72 hours between lifting sessions. So I really like to go heavy on Monday, heavy on Friday, kind of heavy in the middle, really, really fast on Wednesday. Okay. Um, that's it. So anyway, trying to think whatever else should be mentioned about dynamic effort stuff. It's really about it. It's a really fun day. There's sometimes that this is probably not great for strength development, but sometimes like if I'm coming back, like I'm coming back from that bad dog, um, I'll probably do a little bit more dynamic effort stuff until I know that I can handle more weight. So kind of like build up. Like I know I can do lightweight. I can probably do it right now. But like once I get the okay to lift some weights, I'm gonna stay in the realm of being really conservative with it. And I'll probably just try to work technique and some bar speed and add as we go. So it's gonna look a lot more like dynamic effort with a few more reps, maybe. So maybe repetition method. But either way, it's gonna be a light repetition method. So it's gonna look a little bit more like dynamic, if that makes sense. I'm starting to blend some things. All right. I think that's about it. That's about all I'm going to talk about today. And if you follow the base program, the heroic base program, you got two dynamic efforts. If you follow the tactical athlete program, I sneak it in different places, but usually it's on Wednesday. So, all right, guys. I don't know if you got questions. Check you later.